Welcome everybody to the Dave Knows Comics live stream. I'm your host, David Lee, back for another fun episode. And today, well, I think some of you may be expecting me to talk about, I don't know, a little Watchmen show that came out on HBO. And I was totally intending to. Not going to be the case today because I did something way better than that HBO Watchmen show. What's up, Vinny Montana? And yesterday, that was The Avengers. Damage Control Virtual Reality Experience. Yes. I am one of the fortunate people to get to experience this. Now, in case you haven't done this or don't even know what it is, let me tell you, you are definitely missing out because this is one of the coolest things that I've experienced. I had a great time. I really like this a lot. It's a lot of fun. The particular one I did was in New York City, where I am from. So it was a lot. So you might not have access to it, but definitely check it out in your area if you can, because a lot of fun. So let's start recapping what this is. Now, the Avengers Virtual Reality Experience, it's Avengers Damage Control, the Virtual Reality Experience. So what this is, it's a pretty cool storyline. Right now, you're seeing the trailer that I'm going to. So you play as a Black Panther, Iron Man kind of hybrid character, as you're going to see from this. So right here, this is one of the trailers that they actually had for this virtual reality experience. Now, the plot here is pretty cool because they got the actress who played Shuri to actually come into the show, into this experience, and she is actually part of she serves as your liaison to invite you into the world. So she says that she used the original Iron Man armor as a template to create this kind of VR suit, if you will, with some Wakandan upgrades, and you get to play as one of these new avatar suits. And it's all thanks to Shuri. As you can see, she's right here to invite you and tell you to suit up, which is really cool. Now, as the story progresses, as it begins, what happens is you get introduced to Shuri, and she tells you about, oh, hey, here's your suit. We're going to test you out in the field at some point in time. That's what we're looking for, and it's brought by thevoid.com, a pretty cool company. So the storyline is she's brought you in to test out these new suits, and all of a sudden danger hits. All of a sudden a dangerous enemy comes in, and she says, hey, no better time for a test run than the present. Might as well see what you really do in the field. Vinny Montana, Wrestling Talk will have to wait till later on to the other live stream. Mark Shrike, hey, Arthur Pryor says, Dave, you got a little something on your lips. It's right. Yeah, no. Oh, wait, never mind. Goofy Arthur. Dave, thoughts on Jeremy Renner? A rumor about him and his wife, him shooting his wife and then replacing him as... What? I didn't hear about it. About him shooting he shot his wife. What, in real life? That sounds pretty bad. And then replacing him as Hawkeye? Yeah, you shoot your wife, that's pretty bad. You shoot anybody, that's pretty bad. So, no, I have not heard about this. Well, way to take the downpour way to downpour, turn this into a downer episode. It's supposed to be a fun one. No, there's a rumor that he put a gun in his wife's mouth from his ex. Oh. Rumor? Okay, again, I've made my stance very clear on how I feel about these issues. Let's have it in the court of law. Let's see what happens. Until the verdict. I don't like that. I don't like our tendency to just believe rumors, believe headlines, because we do that a lot in society. We see the headline, we automatically say this person's guilty, and we automatically are convinced. And no matter what goes on in the trial, we never change our minds. We just say, this is it. So let's wait till the verdict is out on that one. Oh, I'm not trying for it. I just didn't shave today, and I didn't realize it was noticeable. I thought I could get away with it. Apparently, you can't. Okay, so anyway, back to the fun conversation. Do you think Black Widow will be a good action spy thriller? I think it might be I think it would be an all right one. But my problem is, from what I was told about the Black Widow. Now we'll get back to that VR experience in a moment. But the problem I have with the idea is, I was told this is going to happen in between the 5-year gap between during Endgame, and if that's the case, I feel like that limits her ability, especially since we saw her as the person in the chair running the show, like the Martian Manhunter. We saw her guiding a lot of the Avengers around the task force. We didn't see her getting into the thick of things. So I still think it could be good anyway, even though that's there. But if we were to get... Now, I am personally I would rather see an origin story for Black Widow. I'd rather see her pre-Avengers. The more evil one. I'd rather see what they do with her because I think that'd be more interesting as a character to see what she was like. All those exploits she has, where she talks about getting shot by the Winter Soldier and all these other things. Like, I want to see that. I'd rather see that than her, organizing paperwork and strategizing during that 5-year gap. But that's just me. Civil War, Infinity War. That's when it takes place. Civil War, Infinity. Well, yeah. Well, either way, but it still might be good. So, but yeah. Anyway, back to the lecture at hand. So, continuing with this virtual reality experience. So the storyline setup is that a new threat happens. Now, if you want to go on this completely fresh, I will stop there. So I will give a little bit of a spoiler warning disclaimer right now because there is definitely more to it. I haven't revealed anything. Now, also I haven't revealed all that much. I just gave you the initial setup. Now, the plot, on the other hand, there is a storyline trailer where they show you like all the major beats of the experience. So if you haven't, if you want to go in completely fresh, I understand. But at the same hand, they have a storyline trailer that pretty much tells you everything. Or all the major stuff anyway. So, but it was a fun experience. So I'm going to get into that storyline trailer because it's going to be harder for me to talk about my personal experience without you at least just knowing what's going on. So I'm going to get that spoiler warning away. I think I've given you enough time now. So spoiler warning in case you want to just be completely fresh. I'll give you a little bit more. We'll talk a little bit about it. So if you want to get out of here, if you want to avoid the spoilers for it, I get you. But yeah, let's go into the spoiler because let's see. There we go. Now, what's really cool about this is there is all these Avengers in this virtual reality experience. Now, you don't always get to see the actual actors that play them. You may or may not be hearing them. Some of them sounded a lot like the actors. I wasn't sure on the voices. So what happens in the storyline, as Doctor Strange will explain to you, the threat is that even though and here we go, that's showing off the mechanics of it. Really cool. You get your actual real hands. Spider-Man's in it. A lot of stuff. Okay, so hold on. We'll go back to this in a second. So the storyline is that Ultron has actually returned. That even though the Infinity Stones have been disapparated or whatever into the atmosphere, that he thoroughly believes an old threat has returned and some of the remnants of the Infinity Gauntlet, because this takes place after Endgame. And they definitely acknowledge Endgame. Like, there's no Iron Man in it because he gone. There's no Black Widow in it. Captain America's also not in it. But you get the rest of the Avengers for all the major guys. You get the rest of them, but those three are not in it. Scarlet Witch also not in it either that I can recall. And if she was, I guess I just missed her. But Doctor Strange explains that Ultron is back, so you actually have to fight Ultron, and you fight, and you fight all of his drones and everything like that, and it's pretty cool. And so throughout certain parts of the game, different Avengers stop in. Spider-Man's got a big portion of it, which is cool. I really like the part with Spider-Man. At first, I thought it was Tom Holland, but then after I started listening to it a while, I was like, nah, I don't think that's Tom Holland. I think it's cool. Voice actor in the game. I don't know if James Spader is or not. It was so mechanized, it was hard to tell, which I actually prefer a very heavily mechanized Ultron voice. I think it was, I didn't like, peace to you, Muhammad. I actually didn't like the way James Spader sounded, not robot-y enough, but that's just me. Voltron. Ultron. I mean, yes, Ultron's a robot too, but not Voltron. Way to show your age there, buddy. And don't tell me you're talking about the Netflix show, because I know you're not. We both know you're not. I'm not going to watch this, so yeah, I'm good. Okay, well, thank you for sticking around, Arthur. Glad to be here. Glad to have you here. My favorite movie franchise is Star Wars and Iron Man. All right, Ben. Random Ben stuff again. Yeah, so Ultron's back. And so as you progress throughout the game, different adventures show up. They did a lot of dumping on Ant-Man, and Ant-Man sounds like Paul Rudd, but they do mention that kind of stuff. Like, they do take a lot of shots at Iron Man. Falcon calls him Tic Tac again. Ant-Man, he called Spider-Man. He calls Spider-Man. He goes to Spider-Man. He goes, "Aren't you just an intern?" It was actually pretty funny. So there was some fun gaps in there. Thor, on the other hand, is we have buff Thor and short hair Thor, which I thought was interesting. Where can I find the game? I don't know. I know for me it was in New York City, so I saw it right in. So I don't know other locations, but I know that was there. So what's real? But let me get more into the VR part because I realize I'm really fanboying out just talking about storylines, so let's go with this a little bit. So here you fight Giant Ultron, you have to beat him up, and those are your real hands, and you use them to fire and make shields. And man, these drones, these Ultron drones come all over the place. This is hard. It wasn't easy. But my boy Spider-Man there. And yeah, Hulk comes up at the end, which is pretty cool. And what's nice is there's no gloves on you. It's just your regular hands, and you can see them. You just stick them in front of your face, you see them. You can't see your feet, but you can see your hands. Um, and yeah, it leads to a big battle at the end. Now, I wish there was a little more of a play space for you to walk around for this battle, for this end battle. You're kind of limited, but I get that there's a limitation in that. One of the coolest parts, though, for this damage control simulator is that I really liked a lot, though, is how you are physically walking in the reality. You're not on a treadmill and you're not suspended where you're just kicking your legs. You're physically walking around for real, like real life walking around. And you can stick your hand down and touch walls and stuff like that. So like when you go into the Sanctum Sanctorum, Doctor Strange is talking to you, and there's a banister in front of you. And like I went to like lean down on the banister, and there's actually something there for me to lean on. It's not a virtual reality like construct that's not really there. I mean, it's not really there, but there was something physical for me to lean on. And there's like certain walls where if you just want to chill and lean on the wall or something like that, or stick your hand out and touch something, it's there. There's something there for you to physically feel. Yeah, it's the VR game as far as I'm concerned. So yeah, you just sit around, lean on the wall, you lean on the banisters, on the staircase while Doctor Strange talks to you about, hey, Ultron's back, this is going to be difficult. Another crazy thing is when you enter the Sanctum, there's like this spiral staircase that it's like an optical illusion where it seems like it's going on forever, but I am physically walking down something, so I'm like, man, this is weird. I was like, where? Like, I don't remember going up. How am I? You don't loop around that much, but still, it was a weird feeling that you're physically walking down this spiral, and you see it just like going in this weird loop, even though you know you're physically walking. So they're like, it's a weird experience. Oh, it's not a VR. It's not on PlayStation. It's a physical location you have to go to, and they have this VR housing set up. So it's not through PlayStation. It's not through Xbox. It's physical location. Get out of the house. Go to one of them. I think if you check out thevoid.com, I think that is the address. You can check them out and see what they're all about because it's a really cool thing to find out locations. As I said, I know there's one in New York City, so if you happen to live in New York City or you're visiting New York City, that would be the place to go to. That's the one I went to, and that was a lot of fun. And they charged me. I remember I didn't know it was there. I was actually so. Long story short, this is what happened. I'm gonna go back and forth to the experience. Is this one of those exercise games that you think? No. It's okay. So let me tell the experience. Currently I'm working on a movie. And yesterday we're shooting in Manhattan, but there was the crew I was waiting for. I needed to be there. My call time was at like 10 in the morning, and the crew had a delay. There was something that happened with the rest of the crew. They were off doing something else that I wasn't needed to be a part of, and so they needed to meet up with me later on. So they weren't around. So here I am in lower Manhattan, which is an area I definitely don't go around much, and I had nothing to do for a couple of hours. So I decided I'm like, hey, might as well play tourist. I might as well do all the touristy things that, like, real New Yorkers, people from New York, don't do all the touristy crap. Like that's something you don't actually do. You know it's there. It's like I went through years of my life without ever being in Times Square, even though it was right there. Like for you older folks. There was the Sony Jumbotron. That was the Jumbotron was there before it got taken over. Before it became the TV screen that it is now. It was just the Jumbotron that was in the middle of Times Square. And then they actually tore it down until a company sponsored it now. And before that, I actually never saw the original in person. It was just never there. So I was stuck around. So I did all kinds of things. I went to in that area. I went to the top of the World Trade Center. I never done that before. So I went to the very top, and I was like, okay, look at this. Hey, walk around, just goofing around. And then I was walking down, and underneath in the World Trade Center, there was, in the basement, lobby, I don't know, downstairs area, whatever you want to call it. I was just walking by, and then I saw this. I'm like, hey, that kind of looks like Black Panther, Iron Man thing. It was a sign, and it said, Avengers, damage control. I'm like, what is this? And I walked around, and I was like, is this coming soon or something like that? And it's like in the middle of the basement, there's just like this big room, like closed off room, and you don't know what it is, but it just has Avenger stuff all over it. And it has like those characters, the suits that you wear on it. So I walked around into the front, and then I was like, is this coming soon? And they're like, I was like, oh man, it's going to happen later. And it's like, no, it was here right now. And I was like, whoa. And then so I walked up, I'm like, when does this start? And I was wanting to know how long does it take? Do I have enough time? Because I didn't want the movie to start, and then I couldn't finish it. And then I said, and how much does it cost? And the reality is, how much does it cost didn't matter because I was going to pay for it anyway. If I recall correctly, I paid $43 for it. But I was like, this is going to be like $100, and I was probably going to do it anyway. But then I was like, oh, $43? I'm like, I am in. Less than half than what I thought. So I moved in. Hey, True Sinister, how you doing? I missed everyone. Glad you're back. So I was like, whoa, moved on in, $43. And then so I only had to wait a couple of minutes, but then they put you in a chest harness, that's it, and it's like and then your VR helmet, and then you just walk around, and then you see the introduction with Shuri. So then when you go into the Doctor Strange part, and that's really cool, and you see all of his like glowy circles and all this stuff, then you start shooting around things. But one funny thing is, so what you do is to fire, and I know I'm bouncing around all over the place. To fire, you stick your hands out, one hand to do a repulsor blast, but two hands, you can do like a mega one, and you go like this to create your shield, to block out your shield. And the Wakandan Vibranium technology absorbs it, and if you build up enough energy from absorbing with your shield, then you can fire a mega blast. All right, so that's the way the game works, and you walk around. And you just turn your head and you can see all these guys, everything, and moving around, looking at everybody. One funny part that happened was, now I was in a group, and there's this one part where these little tiny Quinjets were going around, and we were trying to get up to the helicarrier to stop Ultron. And I walked in, there was like two of them with two steering wheels, and I walked over to the one room, and I just was in this other room. Then before you know it, the ship started departing, splitting up. And then there's this wave of Ultron drones coming at us, and I could see the other team on the other side, and I'm like over here by myself, and I was like, hi, and we started waving to each other, but then when we were waving, we were setting off the repulsor beams, said to each other, like, whoops. And so that was a pretty funny moment. So overall, whether you think $43 is too much or not, that's on you. But and it's actually like it's about a half hour long, so it's actually not a short, quick, like 5-minute thing. It's actually a pretty long experience. You're physically walking around, touching walls, feeling the walls. You can feel things. So I had a lot of fun with it. It's pretty cool. I thought it was a fun romp. It was totally worth it for me. I would not even pretend like I'm gonna say that I wouldn't do it again, because there's a shot I would. So I had a lot of fun doing it. And I can't believe I'm saying this, but almost one of my gripes almost is that there wasn't enough like merchandise and crap to sell. Like they would have gotten me. Like the company that produced the game did a fantastic job, but it's a lot of like their hats and gears that I saw. But I was like, man, if you had like special limited edition like Spider-Man virtual reality damage control thing, or like a weird like mask for like that's like your suit or whatever, like I probably would have gotten it. You're a dork, Arthur. You're a dork because you use the word basically, like all the other people. That makes you a dork. It's a personal pet peeve of mine. I hate that word. I was trying not to say it because I figured all the trolls would come out of the woodwork, but here we are. Can we talk about the G5 DC thing? What's about it, Muhammad? Please enlighten us. Now that, yeah. Any other questions about that VR thing? I'm happy to field, but I think I geeked out all as much as I could, and I think I've mentioned everything. So, but yeah, Muhammad, what do you want to talk about the G5 DC thing? What did you want to talk about? Yeah, we'll wrap up the show with that before we move on over to the wrestling side of things later on today. Yeah, or anything else comic book related you guys want to talk about? Anything else? Get it out there. Let's talk about it. Let's see what's the hubbub, bub. Didn't Urkel do all that in Family Matters? Wow, calling me a dork. You're pulling a Family Matters reference. New comic event by DC where they do another reboot. Oh no, not again. Enough with the... Now, I don't know if I've mentioned this previously, but one of the things that comic books, now look, the reboots, everyone's getting tired of them. I am too. And I know some people are tired of hearing people complain about the reboots, even though it's like, well, you did it to yourself. The reason people complain about the reboots is valid, because we would like to establish continuity. But the reason they keep doing reboots is because number ones, issues with the number one on them sell much better. People just think, oh, it's a number one, this must sell well. This must be doing well. This must be, this is going to be worth money someday, even though they're not always are. So, sadly, a number one sells better than a number 700 or a number 800. So they rather produce a new number one every like couple of years or so, because even though it's going to be like Superman number one, the like 10th number 1 that will still sell better than Superman number like 800, which is bizarre to me. Generation 5. Here's to the future. Ugh. No, 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 no. No more. No more reboots. No more reboots. Like ever. I mean, maybe down the line you're going to eventually have to do one, but as of right now, I say no more. But anyway, so that's the virtual reality experience. Thank you for that little tidbit there. Thank you for the tidbits about the Jeremy Renner thing and the G5 thing. Very interesting that we got those sprinkled in there. But those are my thoughts on the VR experience. I highly recommend that if you have the opportunity to check it out and it's within your means, please do it. I think it was a lot of fun. I very, very, very much had a good time. It was great seeing all the Avengers flying in and coming around while you're walking around, getting to interact with some of them a little bit. Is it, can you super interact with them? No, it's not like you could talk to them, or you could talk to them, but they don't answer back. Like Doctor Strange just talks to you regardless of what you're saying. But yeah, so it was still fun. So if you can, check it out. I highly recommend it. I thought it was a really good time. So that's the VR experience. Don't worry, we'll be checking up on the wrestling side of things a little bit later on today on the wrestling live stream. So be on the lookout for that. Check your notifications. Make sure they are working. And as always, Dave knows.